Hello and welcome to this special edition of Omni Edition Garden City. I am Dan York with Garden City City Manager Dougherty, and we want to try to clarify some of the information that's been released, beginning with the public advisory for drinking water that was issued by the state through the city, and also the addendum letter that the city put out. And the crux of the matter is our water has been tested, as it's been for year after year after year, and we have found lead in certain water supplies, but it's because the test has changed primarily, correct?
Yes, there's the state did a new test that took us to a point where it's beyond any testing in the past, which has led us to have 8 homes in our city that was a little higher than normal. Let's go back to the beginning of this whole thing so everybody understands. The city of Garden City does not have lead in its water. What it has is several homes, or actually 71 homes we know about, that have lead pipes going into their home. So when water goes into their home, then there might be some testing for some lead water. But as far as the rest of the city, all the water comes down a main road and it splits into different neighborhoods, splits into different houses. The same water everybody has coming into their house today is the same water Detroit's using, Dearborn Heights, Dearborn, all the way up to Novi, outside of Wayne County, half of Oakland County, half of Macomb County. Everybody uses the same water. So right off the bat, we have to say the city of Garden City does not have lead in its water. Now, obviously, there, as a quantifier, there may be some traces somewhere, but as far as a lead concern, it's not there. What we have is we tested 71, we asked for 71 homes that have lead to be tested. 31 came back and said we'd like to be tested. Of the 31, 8 homes came out a little higher with this new standard that the state has put in place.
And the state is calling it actionable levels. They're not saying contaminated, they're not saying poison, they're saying actionable.
Yes. So what we're told on Wednesday of this past week, that there's an issue with these 8 homes and that we need to inform all 12,000 customers that there are higher levels in the city for these 8 homes. Now, I think, again, the misconception out there is that for some reason there's lead running around the whole city and every part of the community is contaminated. That's not true at all. If you have copper piping in your house, which most homes do, there isn't an issue for lead coming into your house at this point. But if you've got the lead pipes, then that's a bit of a concern. But let me jump around a little bit and go back to the beginning. There was a court case that said the city must go onto everybody's property and replace their lead lines. Now, historically, everybody knows in the entire country, governments cannot go on private property. If you have a tree you like trim, we can't do it. We can't fix a fence, we can't fix your pipes.
And nor can we spend public funds to do the work. No, that's as important.
We can do nothing on private property. Until this past summer, Michigan State pushed to have the cities be responsible to replace lead lines. A number of communities got together and tried to fight against it. There was an appeal, but the final judgment was the cities are responsible. So in the meantime, since this summer, as we opened up all of our roads, we're doing some work on them, we actually found 4 lead lines on Maplewood Road. 4 lead lines that go into the houses, not the water running through it for the rest of the community, just those houses. I gave direction to our staff to replace those 4 lead lines because that's the judgment. In the meantime, let's find out where we can find more lead lines. But also at the same time, we went and bid it out. We started to go through the process. The city's position is we're going to replace everybody's lines. So that we found 71 homes that have lead lines, and they're across the city. And a lot of times we find them when our meter person is walking around and checking lines, they can see from the outside if it is a lead line going into a house. That's where the 71 came about, which was 75. We already replaced 4 of them. So we're down to 71 at this point. We expect that there probably are more as we go through this, because we're asking people now, please check your house to see what you have coming into your basement or into your meter. So we expect to possibly have more. But we know of 71. We put the bid out. We received the bids. We have a contractor ready to be put on the October 28th agenda for the council. And then we received this phone call from the state. So Garden City is far ahead of the game. We've already replaced lines. We're moving forward already to do these 71. And it's really to take care of these 71 homes, but also the 8 homes of the 31 that were checked. I just want to make a point. There were 23 that did not fail this test.
Even though they have lead leads now.
They have lead lines coming into their house, and they've had it for 70 years, 80 years or so. We've talked around 1952, 53 was an area where apparently the state of Michigan said not to use lead lines anymore. So pretty much any homes after that time we expect to have no issues whatsoever. But it should be noted that there might be a home from 1920 that used to be on well water. They changed over in, say, the 60s. Well, they would have copper lines also. So we can't really say to people, if you have an old home that's from 1950, 1960, you're good. If 1930s, you're not good. It doesn't work that way. So we're looking for the homes right now that have lead lines.
And it's a case-by-case basis. It's not a regional problem. It's not this subdivision has lead pipes or this neighborhood has lead pipes.
Yeah.
It's a house-by-house thing, and it's rather random where they are.
It absolutely is. And not only that, but to emphasize what I started out saying in the beginning was the water going into our homes have not changed. The pipes have not changed. When people look at this situation, they immediately think it's a Flint situation, that there's contaminated water all over the city. The same water coming into our house is the same water going to every community around us. And I understand Oak Park was another one that came out last night, that they are in the same boat as we are, as well as Birmingham and White Lake and a number of other cities.
And ultimately, almost every community that isn't a brand new build is going to have some evidence of this.
Yes. I would say there's no question the cities around us, Inkster, Wayne, Westland, Livonia, everybody will be getting that same call as we have. Unfortunately, we're a little early on this, the call coming to us. But we're already moving forward to make the change. I even asked the state from the start, wait a minute, we're informing 12,000 people that 71 lead homes could have an issue, but of those, only 25% even have an issue.
And by Christmas, we will have removed all of these lead lines.
That's our understanding. You can do 3 to 4 a day. So within 20, 30 days, that's why we're saying in the next couple of months we're going to replace everything, assuming the weather works with us at this point. But even more, the state's rule is to only replace 7% a year. So using the numbers, if we had 100 homes, the state is saying we only need to replace 7. What about the 8th person or the 9th person? So the mayor and city council of Garden City is moving forward to replace all 71 we know about. And if there's another 10, 20, 30, we're going to replace those also. If for some reason we find there's a whole lot more, we may have to work a little bit financially and work it out, but we're ready to take action now. So what I find very interesting is that we were moving forward over the last couple of months, getting the bids. No one even knew that we were going to replace the lead lines. And then this phone call comes from out of the blue that says, by the way, you got to replace 7 of them, 7%. Well, of the 71 that we know about, the state would be telling us you only have to replace 5. Mm-hmm. Well, we know of 8 at least that are a little higher level, so why would only be 5? So as we look at this concern of this is a real issue in Garden City, you got to look and say, well, wait a minute. They gave us 3 days to inform 12,000 people there could be an issue when we know there was just the 8 homes. And of those, now we only have to replace 7 a year. And that means we have 12 years to fix the problem.
Right.
So the 3-day notice, well, we're moving forward, and then 12 years to replace, it seems a little hypocritical of it's a major situation, which certainly should never be taken light, but is a situation where people right now should be really fretting and concerned for their safety at this point. They would have passed those tests last year. The state made the test tougher, which is good. You want to fix anything, but at some point there's got to be a level where everyone understands it's not a Garden City issue exclusively. The same pipes come in here, go to all the cities around us, and our city has been ahead of the game in moving forward. If they would have held off 2 more months, we wouldn't even have a discussion because those pipes are being replaced anyway. So I'm glad for our city for what we've been doing to move ahead.
So to clarify, 8 of the 71 homes tested at actionable levels. I'm going to keep using that phrase because it doesn't mean it's toxic. And then we are going to replace all 71, not just the ones that tested positive.
Correct. All 71. And again, your neighbor may have lead pipes and you do not. You don't have any lead water coming into your house. It's the clean water going into the neighbor's house by way of their lead pipe that affects their house at this point. So again, I just want to emphasize, if somebody knows, I heard there was a rumor today a little bit over in Maplewood that the whole Maplewood area is contaminated because we replaced 4 lines over there. Somebody questioned, how can Maplewood Center even be open today with the problem we have? There was no problem. Those 4 houses were replaced already a month ago. The water going into Maplewood Center and all the other homes is clean water that they've had forever. It has nothing to do with those lead service lines going into those 4 houses.
Now let's address a couple of things here. One, you brought up Maplewood, which is a former elementary school. I'm sure people with kids in schools are concerned. Water service to the school buildings, because of the amount of water they consume, is a totally different arrangement, correct?
Yes, that's one of the questions we asked the state. When the state talked about filters, making sure we take care of pregnant women and children under 18, we question about the school systems. One of the things they pointed out was back in the day, lead pipes weren't large. You know, they're a couple of inches going into your house. School systems, hospitals, and other places, big facilities need larger piping, so they wouldn't have been lead from the start. So
Right.
their concern is not for the school system that there's any issues there whatsoever. But I did receive a call from one of our schools where a parent was sending our kids with bottled water, which is fine, do that, sure. But they were saying, because they heard on the news, that Garden City's water is fully contaminated. And again, we're back to the misleading information that no, it's not contaminated across the city. And it's only certain homes. And of those, again, last year they passed the test. This year they don't because of the new standards.
So one of the reasons this has become such an issue is because of the news coverage from Detroit.
Yes.
Channel 7 did a story, as we record this on Thursday, Channel 7 did a story yesterday reporting on the fact that Wayne County
Yes.
is distributing water filters for WIC clients.
Yes.
Plus anyone who can show that they are low income and need one of these to not pay for it. So clarify that too, because that's not a program that we're running. They're just handling it out of our building.
There are two concerns I really have with the process of what we've been dealing with here from the state level. One is it's an emergency to tell everybody, no matter how fast we are already moving forward, we had to tell everybody quickly, but then we have 12 years till we replace everybody's pipe. So that seems very hypocritical. If it's an emergency, but take your time with it. The other issue that I explained very clearly I was concerned with their approach here is we can give filters away to homes with pregnant women and children under 18, but they must be in the low income category. And of course, low income category, they were considering anyone that's on some kind of food stamp service or WIC programs or anything else. My argument back to them immediately was, what are we talking about? If somebody needs a filter and they're in a dangerous situation, it doesn't matter what their income level is. I understand people with money can go buy their own filter, but we're sitting here concerned about our residents. But the state's position is, nope, two things. One, fix those pipes over the next decade and we're okay. Makes no sense to me. And two, well, filters only for those for low income. Well, no, it should be for everybody. So Wayne County is actually the one doing the distribution over at the Maplewood Center. I believe they're a little more lax. They understand also if someone really needs a filter and are concerned, they're not so much worried about the income level. That was from the state. It's a state issue. So when people do see that posting that you must be low income to get a filter, that is not a Garden City decision. That actually was a state decision, but in turn, Wayne County has been helpful to work with pretty much anybody that's walking in the door.
Okay.
But to go back to the point of, do you even need a filter at this point? I have copper piping going into my house in Garden City. I drink water out of the tap all day long. My wife uses a filter. She has the Brita filter. We have 5 teenagers. So any given time, there's no water in the filter anyway, ready to drink. But I love my Metamucil and I love my lemon juice every day. And it doesn't matter if it's filtered water or not filtered water, because once you mix it with something, it doesn't matter. So even lunch, I just had a nice lemon juice. I put lemon juice in water in the glass and I fill it right from the tap. I have no issues of changing that. I've done that since I've gotten here, and I'll continue doing that because I know it's not bad water coming into my house because I have copper pipes coming in. So I have no concern with it. Not to say everybody should do what I do. Go with your filters, do whatever you need to do, but it should not be a situation where we're creating a fear that people have that this is a Flint situation, and for some reason we're just an isolated city and everyone around us is not affected. Everyone's affected exactly the same. They all have good water. It's just these old lead pipes that we need to remove, and that's where we're moving forward. On the 28th meeting, the council has been supportive of this, but we had to go through the bid process. It's not something you could just do immediately, but at the same time, this phone call just came last week. So you look and say, why didn't we do something earlier? I heard somebody recommend or questioned, we've known about this forever, why didn't we do something?
We haven't known about this forever.
Yeah, no, actually, and the court case just came down and said, you're allowed to walk on people's property? There's no way 6 months ago, 5 months ago, we would have ever walked on people's property and did their pipes for them. The question about finances, so everybody's aware, we're doing underground work now. With the bond issue, with the road work, there's a lot of roads that are getting new pipes underground, our water system. And you'll often see, as you do, especially during the winter months, our workers are out there at nighttime trying to fix blowouts. And you often hear about a blowout on different areas. That's the water pipes are bursting. Well, we have an old infrastructure system throughout the city. So if we were redoing a road and we know there's been 3 or 4 blowouts over time, we're replacing that water line. So this past year, we replaced a lot of water lines with our water department money. Next year, we are planning on replacing a couple of $1 million worth of water underground. So that way there's no interruption in service. People aren't bothered in the middle of the night that the water blew and we're sending workers out to fix it. We are looking to spend that money next year. That money now we're going to transpose it back to, let's fix these lead lines that we have out there, as well as do some work under the roads, depending on what we have left.
So several things. One, the lines that are under the roads that are delivering the water throughout the entire community, those are not lead. It's only the lines coming from the home to the road.
Yep, it is literally only from your sidewalk. If you're a house that has a lead line, from your sidewalk
Wherever that
to your
stop
basement,
is that you may or may not be able to see in your front yard.
from your sidewalk to your basement, that would be the lead lines that we're talking about. All the rest of the city has no lead lines throughout the city at all. So as we deliver the water, that's good quality water coming to your house, if you have copper, there's no lead in the middle somewhere. There is nothing. So it's coming into your house clean and ready to use. So if you go into your basement and you notice the copper lines or plastic lines, you have no issue at all.
Sure.
Now there are two different, there's galvanized, and please everybody go to the website and take a look, and we may post that, I'm sure, that shows galvanized is kind of silver metal and so is lead. They look similar. But there is a process of checking, including just scraping.
Lead is a softer metal. It can be cut into by scraped. The reason it was used in the first place, it was easier to bend and easier it was more malleable.
Yes, and you could scrape it, but please go to the website and take a look at that. So if you do look and notice that you have silver piping, it doesn't immediately mean that you have lead. But if you see copper that looks like a penny, you have no issues.
Definitely don't have lead.
No issues at all. And like I said, it's the same clean water coming into your house that it has been forever. So we're really talking about a small segment of the community, and I can't impress upon enough how quickly the staff and the city council worked together to move forward and take an action long before this phone call even came through to say, hey, you may have some issues.
How did we find out in the first place that the homes that we notified had lead service leads?
Well, once the court case ended, we really started to look at what we have in our community, because clearly we're going to have to take care of them. Initial thought could be there might be thousands of them. I mean, we're looking at multi-millions of dollars to replace all these pipes. But as our water meter testing person really walking around and checking the leads going out into the street, that person, they can tell from there which houses have lead. We went to the older communities from the start to try to find what they have, and found that many of them were copper. So from there we started to make the list. So we do believe that there are more than 71 at this point. So it could be 100, could be 120. So please, everybody should check their information or check their basements. But in turn, as far as taking care of all of them, we're gonna knock them all out.
So if we find more, we're going to replace those two. We're going to replace all that we find.
Yeah. Right now, what's on the docket for the council is to at least move forward with the 71. And as we find some that come and go, we're going to take care of them as soon as possible right after that.
And remember, a year ago, we were not allowed to do this.
No.
A year ago,
5 months ago.
not our own law, but state and federal law did not allow us to do this. They did not allow us to take government money to make the repairs, and it did not allow us to go onto private property find this.
Yep. Never walk on property.
So this is a brand new area for everyone.
Yes. Yep.
How were those folks notified, the 71?
They were sent a letter asking to be part of our testing, that we understand they have lead lines. Please contact us so you can be part of our testing system. Only 31 showed interest of the 71. And again, of the 31, 23 of them, no issues at all. So with even tougher standards for pipes that have been there 70 years possibly, used every day by people, they still are under this limit. So as far as, again, when people have the concern of this is really bad, I've got copper pipes and this is really bad, even lead houses are under the limit of this new standard. So your copper pipes and everything are good at this point.
So we are not going to every home and testing. It would be virtually impossible with 11,000 water customers.
Yeah.
So what should people do?
There is a Home Depot and a couple stores like that, Ace Hardware, that may have some testing kits. You can do your own testing, at your house. Certainly, if you have copper going into your house, we're not concerned whatsoever with it. And if it's lead, we're replacing it. Mm-hmm. Now, our Department of Public Works, Public Services are taking some phone calls from people. If they're really not sure, if you're looking at your pipes and you can't tell what they are, they will make a trip in and just give you an idea of if you have it or not. Okay. But they will check. They have gone into a number of houses, and every one of them is copper, from my understanding at this point. So we'd rather be safe than sorry, but certainly you'd be able to check yourself. And as far as the filter giveaway, it's still going on tonight and tomorrow, 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock. At Maplewood.
And we're recording this on Thursday, October 17th, so that's Thursday and Friday of this week. And then we'll have more information later as to how we'll distribute any more, because we suspect the county will leave some behind
Yes.
for us to distribute, but we don't have any details on that. That information will be on the website, that information will be on Facebook.
At this point, I understand they've given away 200 filters. So even more beyond what we probably realize is lead at this point. But again, better safe than sorry for those that need it or are concerned.
What are the steps going forward? I mean, we've outlined a lot of the details
Yep.
here, but obviously there's more to this.
So at this point, the 71 will be replaced, and within 6 months, the state comes back in with a full testing of not just 30 properties, 31 at least, but they want to do at least 60 going into the next range, which at that point we feel pretty good about it, because we'll find, I'm sure, a few more over the next couple of months. People will call us up and let us know. And then once that's done, we should be back to ground zero, that we have no issues anywhere in the city. And again, it's not the city that has issues, it's the individual homes that have lead lines. And from that point on, we're back to the good water that we always had.
And the next step that's going to be kind of confusing is within, I believe the date was 60 days, we have to send a letter to every home in the
Yes.
community
Yes.
at the same time that we'll be finishing this project, and at the same time we'll be eliminating every lead service lead in the community possibly. We'll then be notifying everyone and dredging this all back up
Yeah,
again.
you summed it up perfectly. So their steps at the state were 3 days, inform people by at least some social media. 60 days, send a letter out to every one of our water customers. So 11,600 people are going to receive a letter that says there's an issue out there, a concern. But as you mentioned, in that 60 days, we're expected to replace all of them, if not most of the pipes at that point. So our letter going out to the people is going to say there's something going on when there's not at that point. So that becomes a little unusual. And then it'll be 6 months until they come back for the full-blown testing again. So we feel great about where we are at this point. And the most important thing I keep telling people, it's the same water as yesterday that tested fine yesterday. If you don't have a lead line into your house, it's even better. I drink it every day. So don't be too concerned at this point. Certainly take precautions. Follow the paperwork. I'd say go to the website, look at the information of what you should do of letting the pipes run, let the water run. But that's probably a good thing. Any community in the country is just get some of the minerals and things out of the water when you turn your water on. But it's not something you could heat up and cook out, as far as the lead goes. But please follow the directions. Just be safe overall. But you're going to notice in the next few months, every city probably around us and every city throughout Wayne County is going to be calling their people saying the exact same thing. And I think the more people see that every city is in the same boat, will realize that, okay, this isn't something unusual. This isn't a special circumstance for Garden City. It's not something that don't send your kids to the school because it's a Garden City issue. It's not at all. It's the same water throughout all of Wayne County, half of Oakland, half of Macomb County, all getting the same water. What's the difference? Certain houses have lead pipes, and we're going to replace those.
And I think what might be unique to Garden City is A, our size, so we don't have that many homes that have the lead pipes.
Correct.
And B, our ability to act as quickly as we have on the subject. I imagine other communities will not be able to turn on a dime like we did and get this work done so quickly.
Well, and you think of a place even like Detroit itself. A lot of old historic homes, and I'm sure a lot of lead pipes in there. 7% for them is a tremendous amount of money. If they try to do all theirs in 1 year, who knows how many hundreds of millions that might have cost them. But for us, we were ready to go. We're just going to redirect the money. As going back to our earlier discussion, it's not a place of where we're going to have to do a bond issue and find more money. We were going to fix water underneath roads. At this point, we're going to redirect some of that money to take care of these homes. So that's where the money's coming from. There's no increase in taxes or bond issues or anything else. Just be a little less infrastructure that we're going to do under the roads to fix the infrastructure to be safe for our residents.
All right, well, I want to thank you very much for coming on and trying to explain this to the residents. Again, the website address, gardencitym.org/water advisory, gardencitym.org/water advisory. Again, if you don't qualify for one of the free water filters, you can purchase them at your own Garden City Ace Hardware or at Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards. Same thing with a water testing kit. You can purchase those. They're fairly inexpensive, under $30 as far as I understand, and you can test your water if that gives you more comfort to understand that your home is in the clear, and that's really where we're at today. All right, thank you very much for watching. Good night, everybody.